I recently visited another coin show where I saw one of my favorite dealers, Dennis. Dennis features a lot of tokens and a lot of world coins, so he has a lot of interest in both of those topics. In this video, I have purchased a lot of carded coins, so I had a chance to go through some of his better things and pick out some things that I did not have. So I'm looking forward to this video because almost everything in here is something that we haven't seen on this channel before. And I'm splitting it into two parts, so this will be the second video. That'll be my next video. So today we're going to go through these carded coins. Now, for his coins, the price I paid is usually written in red pen on the coin. He does a good job of putting a lot of details on the coin, and he almost never gives discounts. But the coins are priced pretty competitively. He goes through a lot, and so it's more important for him to move the coins than to get top dollar, and so I've gotten some pretty good bargains. Today what I'm going to do is take a running tally of what I paid for everything and then compare it to what Numista, the people of Numista, think all of these coins are worth. I'm going to add them all up at the end and show you what I paid. You'll see what I paid for each coin, and then we'll see what Numista thinks all of this is worth at the end. Now, I said that he almost never gives discount, but I bought so much from him on this day. My other favorite dealer at the same show was not there that time, which means this guy got all my money. And he ended up giving me 15% off the total price of the coins we're going to look at today. So this is the only coin that I knowingly bought that I already had. It's from Venezuela. It is a 5 centavos. Catalog Y49B. It is a one-year coin. It was the only year they made it out of copper nickel clad steel. It was previously nickel plated steel in 1983. In Venezuela, the 5 centimos is usually colloquially called the puya. It was demonetized in 2011. In your catalog, it's going to have a W for the mint. And that was UDM Metals of Werdal, Germany. Next, we have a coin from Seychelles. This one is the 5 cents coin from 1982, made out of brass. We have a plant on here that is called the manioc, or sometimes called the cassava plant. This is the plant that is used to make tapioca. There is some debate on whether or not this was an FAO coin, as the United Nations plan to get people to grow more food. In foreign exchange value, this is worth 0.36 United States cents. We flip it over and we see the coat of arms of Seychelles. After 1982, and the next time they made this coin, it had a modified coat of arms. So this version of the coin was only made in 1982. It's KM 47.1. And then the .2 version was made from 1990 to 2003. And I could not find a before and after picture of the coat of arms, so I'm not quite sure what changed on here. Next up, we have a coin from the future. It's dated 2090. And I have made that joke a lot. This is actually going to be from Nepal, where they draw their 1 looks like our 9. So it's actually 2010 on their VS calendar. I believe that's pronounced the Vikram Savant calendar. And that doesn't match our calendar, so this was actually made about 1953. And I'm surprised I'd never seen this coin before. As we look in the middle of the coin, it is a sunrise coming over 3 hills or mountains with some grain on either side of that. We flip it over, we've got a dagger in front of some more mountains. This is called anonymous coinage. That means that the king of Nepal is not named on here. And at this particular time, it was because the existing king was dying, and So he was no longer put on the coins during a couple-year transition period. So the reason that I had never seen this coin is it is particularly rare. And there is a restrike version, which is a little bit more common. And so the restrike version was issued by the Nepal government several years later. And there's really nothing to tell you apart other than, does it look like something that was made a little bit later? If it's in nicer condition, it probably was. So the catalog is going to say this has a book value of $40 if you have the original version, or $3 if you have the restrike version. And there weren't hardly any of these for sale on eBay. This one is catalog KM 738, and I paid 50 cents for it. Next we have a coin from Western Samoa. This one is a 2 scene. Features cocoa pods on it. There were over 1.6 million of these made. And it has a foreign exchange value of 0.73 United States cents. On the back here we have their king, which is Tanumafili II, dated 1974. Now we have a modern coin from Mozambique. 2006 10 centavos, KM 134. We feature a farmer on a tractor. Cultivating his crops. We flip this one over and it has the logo of the Central Bank of Mozambique. Another coin where the currency is still valid. This one has a foreign exchange value of 0.16 United States cents. Next we have a coin from the country of Guinea, and I believe this is an really difficult country to find coins from. As it turns out, I did have this coin, but the only time I had ever purchased any coin from Guinea, I found this coin about 5 years ago. And I also get the country confused with Guyana, French Guyana, Equatorial Guinea, so there's a Guinea-Bissau. So there's a lot of countries that I have trouble keeping straight. Their currency is called the Guinean franc. Coin was dated 1985, and this side features their coat of arms. I'll come back to that in a moment. And then it has a palm leaf on this side. This is from a series called the New Franc of 1985. It's still a valid currency. This is worth in United States money 0.011 United States cents. This coin is catalog KM 56. But now I have my second coin from Guinea, which is, next up, we have the 5 franc. We'll flip it over and see that it is almost identical to the last one. It's a little bit larger and it has a 5 instead of a 1. These coins were produced by the State Mint of Stuttgart, Germany. So we've got the coat of arms on here, and you're going to notice at the very top of the shield has a peace dove. And coming out of the dove's mouth is an olive branch, so something that you would think of for peace idea. But then on top of that, you have a sword and a rifle, which is not the feeling of peace. In 1993, Guinea redesigned their coat of arms to remove the rifle and the sword, so that it would just be the peace dove and the olive branch. A couple of months ago, someone in the comments said, "I wish you had more coins from Kyrgyzstan." Well, here you go. If I found them more often, I would certainly buy them more often. They are pretty rare. This one is the 1 Tayan. And here we have the Kyrgyzstan coat of arms. The Krause catalog says that this coin was only produced for mint sets. This, of course, would be the lowest denomination coin they were making at the time. And so I think they had a set called the Coins of the Kyrgyz Republic. And this was the only place you could find the one tie-in. So the Krause catalog says there was a mintage of only 95,000 of these. And of course, that makes it pretty rare. There were no mintage totals on the other coins that they had made that year. But around the one, we have the, I believe it's pronounced the gull flower, which is an ornamental design that you see on a lot of Kyrgyzstan places. Coin was only made 2008, is KM11. Now we'll move to another former Soviet republic that is hard to find. This time we're looking at something from Belarus. This one is the 10 kopeck. And inside the zero, I couldn't get the name of what that is, if it's a specific flower, but it's considered to be a symbol of life force. As we turn it over and look at the national emblem on this side, there is going to be a variety to see on here. And the best way to tell is the star that's at the very top. And if you look at it, it's a raised star, so you can see some shadows on it. The coin is dated 2009, but more than likely it was produced in 2016. But there's a variety of it where that star at the top is flat. And I believe there's also some differences in the sun rays coming up off the rising sun. If you find the flat star at the top, that one would have been made in 2022. Next, we have a larger coin from the hyperinflation days of Brazil. During this time, their currency was called the Cruzado Novo. I believe Novo is new. And the Cruzado Novo was only made from 1989 to 1990. But this one is the one Cruzado Novo. There were 10 million of these made, but I'd never seen it before. It was also the centennial, or the 100th anniversary, of the Republic of Brazil, so it's got the date of 1889 and 1989. This coin was actually made in 1989. And they called this face the Laureate Liberty Bust. If you ever see a laureate bust, that means that the face has laurels in the hair. Not something that we do today, but that was pretty common 100 years ago. This coin is catalog KM 615. Next up, we have a bimetallic coin from Bolivia dated 2017. So far, it's the only year that this coin has been made. Has their motto of La Unión es la Fuerza on here. Catalog is KM 224. It's the 5 Bolivianos. And this side features the national arms of Bolivia. So if you think you have a coin that's similar to this, if you look at the name written on the outer ring, it has Estado Plurinacional de Bolivia. So that started in 2010. So they had a different official name of their country before that point. But older versions of this coin had a bronze center, whereas this one is an aluminum bronze center, and that gives it more of a brass-like or kind of a yellowish color to it, where the bronze would be more of a reddish-brown color. So this one's catalog KM 274. Next we have a coin from the Gambia, and we'll come back to this side. This was when the Gambia was still controlled by the British, so there were 6 different circulating coins made in 1966, featuring this look with Queen Elizabeth on it. We flip this one over. This coin is a 3 pence, so they were still using the pre-decimal system that Britain was using at the time. The bird featured here is a pheasant called the double-spurred francolin. And so they had 6 different coin designs in Gambia when it was controlled by the British, but when they became their own republic in 1970, they actually kept a lot of the similar design elements. And so I don't have a good example of this, but I have a this one's kind of a lousy coin, but you can see where it went to the from the 3 pence to the 10 buttocks. And then they replaced the queen with the, I believe that's the president of the Gambia in later years. So KM2. Here we have a coin from Egypt. This one is going to have a value of 10 piastres or kirsch, depending on where you look. The Arabic calendar is 1394. Our calendar is 1974. This is catalog KM 442. We have a soldier on here. And so this is going to commemorate a war, and it depends on where you're at as to what the name of the war is. If you're in Egypt, it's usually called the October War or the Ramadan War. If you're in Israel, it was probably called the Yom Kippur War. Or for everybody else, most people call it the Fourth or the 1973 Arab-Israel War. And the entire war lasted only in the month of October 1973. So this coin was made in 1974, 1 year later, to celebrate the first anniversary of this war. Now we have a coin from India. This is going to highlight the 75th anniversary of independence of India. This coin's dated 2022, but they've made these coins for about 5 years. They might keep on making them. This one is the 5 rupee, but they've made a set of 5 of these from the 1, 2, 5, 10, and 20 rupees, all in a similar design. This is the standard other side of the current circulating coin. KM 540. Now we're moving to Fiji. This is the first $2 coin that Fiji had ever made. On this side, you can see that the coin was made in 2012. This bird of prey is a peregrine falcon. In their language, it is called the Gani Vatu. Brass-plated steel. This coin is round, but it has 11 indentations that go around the edge. Kind of hard to see when it's in the flip. We flip this over, and it has the Tanoa on it. This design previously appeared on the 1 cent coin. This is a ceremonial wooden bowl, and it has a cord on one side of it that points towards the guest of honor. So what is missing from this coin? We don't have any portrait of Queen Elizabeth on here. So this is I believe this is the first year that Queen Elizabeth was not put on these coins. And I didn't realize that Fiji had been separated from the British for so long. This coin was made from 2012 and 2014, but there were complaints that the coin was too similar in size to the $1 coin. And so when they made it the next version in 2022, it was larger, and they changed it from the 11 indentations on the side to, I think it got the term Spanish flower, of 7 indentations that went around the edge. This next coin is very new to me, and there's going to be a lot to unpack here. I do not have any coins from this place. So this is an area that is probably better known as Western Sahara. And just looking at how to pronounce the name of that country, it looks like it would be Saharawi. But apparently, if you're in America, the actual pronunciation is Saharawi. If you live there, it's one fewer syllable. They would call it Sahrawi. But the United Nations, and a little bit after this, is more commonly calls it Western Sahara. But it's also a disputed territory that is a part of Morocco. In the 1880s, this area was called the Spanish Sahara. And so you can see that it has the value of a 1 peseta there at the bottom, and that dates back to their Spanish control. While it was Spanish Sahara, the Spaniards never made coins specifically for Spanish Sahara. But on this side, we have the Saharawi coat of arms, which is a crescent moon and star at the top. In the middle, we have a couple of crossed rifles. Coming off of those two rifles would be the flag of Western Sahara. And then around the edge of that, we have a couple of olive branches. At the very bottom, there's a ribbon with their motto, which translates to liberty, democracy, and unity. Then when we flip this coin over, we have an Arab leading a camel. And you can see the date on here of 1992 and some words at the bottom, as well as some Arabic words that go in along the very top of this. You might not recognize that as words at first, but both of those translate to traditional transport. So they're calling the camel is the traditional way of transporting goods across the desert. So oftentimes, countries that don't have a lot of friends become friends with each other. And at this time, Western Sahara was good friends with Cuba. These coins were produced by the Havana Mint on planchets, which were originally designed to be made for the Cuban 1 centavo. Over the years, there has apparently been a quite intensive debate on whether or not this coin should be considered an actual coin from an actual country or not, for different reasons. First of all, Western Sahara is not its own country, at least one that's not recognized by a lot of other countries, since it is part of Morocco. But then you've got the idea that while the government or the people who are running Western Sahara authorized these coins, they've never made coins that were intended to circulate. Now, a lot of countries that are legitimate countries will certainly make collector-only coins, but these coins were never meant to circulate. They were mostly only sold for tourists. So it does make kind of a gray area whether or not this should be considered a coin or not. Krauss said yes. They gave it a Krauss number of KM14. So the Krauss catalog says that, yes, this should count, even though they do note that it was essentially tourism, meant for tourists and not for actually spending. So I'm going to count it, since Krauss catalog, as a country worth counting. And so this one is new to my collection. I never had a coin from this country before, if you even can call it a country. But here's a coin that you would see in that country circulating there, since this one is a coin from Morocco. We'll come over to the king on this side. That is King King Mohammed VI, who has been ruling Morocco since 1999. We flip it over, and this bimetallic coin has some neat etching on it. This is going to have it's called the Hassan II Mosque. You can see the Arabic date of 1442, our calendar of 2021. And there is some micro etching on here, if you can get it in the light just right. That circle at the bottom, if you hold it just this way, it looks like the number 5. If you hold it like this, you see the pentagram look that is associated with some other Moroccan designs. But I definitely like the waves in the background on the left half of this. So neat design. Catalog is Y140. Next, we have a coin from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and a lot of their coins right now, I think they pretty much all feature this lion on it. Of course, their language, they put Republic Democratic of Congo. Nickel-clad steel from 2004. We flip it over. It's a 1 franc. This is a series of 4 non-circulating commemorative coins. In 2004, they were honoring the 25th anniversary of when Pope John Paul II visited Congo. And so it's 4 different things from John Paul II's life. This scene is coin number 2 of 4, and it honors in 1967 when he was first became a cardinal. And he was Polish, so that name is pronounced, I believe it's pronounced Wojtyła. Cardinal Wojtyła became Pope John Paul II. KM 157. Now we have a 1-year circulating commemorative coin from Australia. This is the 50-cent coin. This is the way it always looks on the portrait of the Queen during this time. This was from a series that they called Making a Difference, Australian Volunteers. There were 3 coins in the set. The 20-cent and the $1 coin were also part of the series. And they made 14 million of these. And so there are little scenes here of different ways of volunteering. And so best on what I can tell, looks like we've got a sunrise over here. We've got a firefighter right there. Someone swimming, so I'm going to guess that is a swimming rescue person. We have a plate with a fork and knife on it and a couple of beds right here, so maybe that relates to some kind of hospitality. We've got some clothing and a couple of hands over some wheat. I believe that is a symbol for a mother raising a child outside of a house. And then we have an adult with 2 children. So there's different ways of volunteering that are highlighted on this coin. KM 689. We are back to Peru. This is a 10 centavos coin featuring a torch surrounded by some chains. We'll come back to that. Across the bottom here, it says Libertador Mariscal Castilla. So this is Liberator Marshal Castilla, otherwise known as President Ramon Castilla. He was the president who abolished slavery in Peru. This coin was made in the 100th anniversary of that happening. That would explain why we had the chains that go around this side, the chains for slavery. This is part of a series where they also made a 5 and a 20 centavo of the same theme that looked pretty much the same. And while I paid $1.50 for this coin, I got another one on it when I bought some bulk lots from the same dealer, so I thought it was funny. This one's in better shape despite the staining there by the torch. This one has some pretty good prices in the catalog. And there were only 1.8 million of them. I didn't even realize this existed. I've seen so many of the Peruvian 500th anniversary of the Lima Mint, but I hadn't really seen any of these before this particular day. Now we're going to move to France, where we have a 10 franc coin honoring the centennial of the death of author Victor Hugo. So since he is an author, it shows a book and a quill there on the right. But this also features scenes of probably his two most famous works would be, and I always have trouble pronouncing this, Les Miserables, and on the left, and then on the right we have the Well, in America we would call it Notre Dame. I think they pronounce it Notre Dame Cathedral. For the Hunchback of Notre Dame. Those were both the most famous Victor Hugo works. The coin itself is dated 1985. We have Hugo's signature on it. One other thing to point out is we have some letters, the fraternity, liberty, equality on here. And there are two different versions of it. Sometimes you'll flip it over this way and the letters will be up. And sometimes, half the time, you'd flip it this way for the letters to be up. So this one's version A and is a little bit more common, where you have the head side, the obverse, and look at the letters this side. This coin books for $3.50, catalog number KM 956. They also made two other versions of this. There is a 90% silver version and a .999 silver version of this coin. Next we have another rare country. This one would be the Comoros, otherwise known as the Comoro Islands. In 1966, while it was still a French colonial area, actually in 1964, they made a series of coins, only dated this year. I believe Comoros became its own country in 1975, free from France. This side features the winged liberty that appears on a lot of the French colonial territories. Then on this side we see that it's 10 francs. We have some plants at the top, a couple of seashells on either side of the denomination. We've got a pretty large fish there at the bottom. Then in the background we have a couple of islands on either side and a couple of sailboats. And then it says their word for island is archipel, which makes me think of archipelago. So that might be essentially the same thing. That one is KM7. And of every coin in the video, this is the one that has the highest value in Numista, just because of how hard it is to find any coin from Comoros. Numista says this coin is $12, whereas I paid $2. We're going to move to the Soviet Union, where they've made a lot of commemorative 1 and 5 rubles, especially over the later years of the Soviet Union. This one is dated 1989. It says, has their coat of arms here. CCCP is how you say it, USSR in Cyrillic. The catalog is going to call this the Pokrovsky Cathedral. That's what the Cyrillic letters across the top say. This is how you spell Moscow in Cyrillic. But this is better known as the St. Basil's Cathedral. And in fact, you might be familiar with this cathedral already. It is a very popular, it's essentially a cultural heritage icon of Red Square in Moscow. It's a very colorful cathedral. It has a date of 1561, which is the year that the original part of the building was first completed. It's been added onto a lot since then. And it is a famous Russian Orthodox church. It says there were 1.7 million of these. He wrote that on the flip somewhere. There were 2 million if you include all the proofs. This is not the proof version. So it's catalog Y221. Numista says that this is worth $5. Our last coin in this video is going to be from a part of Vietnam which is really hard to find. It is the Democratic Republic of North Vietnam, which was a communist-ruled area during the Vietnam War. This coin is a 5 ZU. At first I thought the name of the currency was Nam ZU, because it would be their way of comparing, contrasting them from other countries that might have the ZU coin. As it turns out, Nam is at least with the way the A has that little symbol on it, that's also their word for 5. So there's a 1 and a 2 of this series that have different 3 letters right here in front of the zoo. So it's 5 Zoo from 1958. This Democratic Republic of North Vietnam only made 3 coins ever. They were all these aluminum coins from 1958. And they existed as a country from 1945 to 1976. The words that go around this side essentially translate to the National Bank of North Vietnam. And in this side, they have the spelling of their country. This is a case where he wrote what the Krause catalog would say based on different conditions. And I'd say this is closer to extra fine, if not even, I would, based on how quickly I would want to replace it, I might even put it up to AU. Really, the biggest problems here are some scratches, which are easy to get on aluminum coins. I paid $4 for this coin, and the Numista says that it books for $7. We see a gear around the center hole. We've got some wheat that goes around either side of it and a ribbon holding it all together, and then the 5-point star at the very top. So we ended up going through 24 coins in this video, and I mentioned that the dealer gave me a small discount, which he almost never does. I just spent over $200 with him, and so he did. He felt like giving me a discount today. The total price of, if you add up the value of everything on here, came to $29.60. If you take 15% off of that, then I paid $25 for everything in this video. Numista, and I mentioned before, this guy goes a little bit off of off of the Krause catalog price. But today I wanted to add things up using the Numista price instead of the Krause catalog. And to be fair, Numista usually prices things a little bit more expensive for low-value coins, and they tend to be priced less for the more expensive coins. And so there's nothing on here that, there were maybe just a couple of coins that were worth less on Numista than what I paid. The total price of Numista price of everything we looked at today came to $60. $60. So I'm very happy with these, especially since out of these 24 coins, 20 of them are going straight into my collection, and 2 of them are upgrades. So there's only a couple of coins out of this whole lot that I didn't actually need. All right, I will catch you in the next video where we'll see the other half of these coins. So until then, bye.